Esse dia tinha altas ondas na França, eu tinha surfado o dia inteiro.
There was a great swell up the whole entire East Coast.
I drove through New York at 6 a.m. that morning, and then we surfed in Rhode Island.
My friend had said, I'm going to call you to surf early. And the swell was really, really good in California. My phone just kept ringing, to the point where I get up and I answered, and I was like, what?
The plane has crashed right into it.
There were some pound in the lineup saying, hey, something just happened at the World Trade Center.
It'd be hard to find anyone in America that doesn't remember where they were.
I think no matter where you were at, it was you remember, exactly where you're at during that time.
I was in Los Angeles sleeping in the morning when 9/11 happened.
I was home. I just got home from Europe.
I was really young, and I woke up in the morning.
2001, I was actually in my boat fishing at home.
I was in Carlsbad at my house, and I was actually driving to the airport to get on a small plane to go to Mexico.
I got a phone call from my brother, said wake up and look at the news, and I was just blown away.
My best friend just said, turn on your television. And I remember going into my living room, and I turned on the television to see the first building smoking.
I turned on the news, and right when I turned it on, the second plane hit, and it was like, I didn't believe it. It was like a movie, I was like, no way, this isn't happening.
My dad called me and told me, oh, you see what happened on the TV? So I woke up, turned on the TV, and I saw the tower smoking. It was sad. I couldn't believe it. And I just got home. I remember exactly.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's happening. And that was when the towers were still standing. We didn't know they were going to fall at the time. I watched it for about an hour, went surfing, and all of a sudden we came back and heard that the towers had fell. And just a horrible day. It was
Meu pai falou, tem um filme animal na TV, vem assistir, eu tava morto. Aí a gente começou a assistir a TV, a gente viu que era ao vivo, nem era o filme. A gente viu que era bem sério e muito triste.
Na época, o antigo CEO da SP estava em Londres e ele me chamou às 4h30, 5 horas da manhã, dizendo para eu ligar a TV, que eu não ia acreditar o que estava acontecendo. Na primeira ligação eu nem dei bola para ele, botei o telefone no gancho, continuei dormindo, deu 15 minutos, ele me ligou de novo e aí então eu fui, liguei a TV e incrédulo assisti tudo aquilo que todo mundo já assistiu e custava acreditar.
Tenho quase certeza que quando eu voltei da escola, eu estava almoçando e meus pais viram a notícia, só que eu tinha 11 anos, e na época eu nem me liguei. Eu falei, minha mãe ficou triste, começou a chorar e meu pai também estava mal com o que estava acontecendo, só que pra mim é como se não tivesse acontecido nada, no momento.
Eu estava em casa e foi um choque assim para mim, foi um choque para todo mundo. Na real, na hora eu nem sabia o que estava acontecendo. Falei, Só mais uma notícia, mais algum maluco aí tentando se matar.
Tava lá aparecendo os aviões chegando, puf, puf, foi sinistro.
I do remember. I was watching it on TV at home. My mom phoned me and told me to put on CNN, and yeah, it was a very sad day. I can't believe it's been 10 years since then. It feels so recent.
I grew up in New York City. You know, I grew up here from the time till I was 15 years old, and I knew those buildings very, very well. I had friends that worked there, and yeah, it's a day that moment will never be erased.
My mum was crying and everything. It was just one of those things that I think that touched everyone around the world, and it's just it's going to be great tomorrow to go out there and just represent them really well and put on a show for everyone.
I remember exactly. Surreal, man. It's sad, very sad.
I was just blown away.
Eu estava na cidade, eu cheguei no domingo à noite, ia ter um voo no mesmo dia, na segunda-feira à noite também, que eu ia para a Alemanha num evento. E acordei bem cedo que eu precisava comprar umas coisas. E logo que eu acordei, eu dei carona para um amigo meu e vi o prédio pegando fogo. E ainda perguntei pro pessoal, meu, o que é aquilo, né? Perguntei na rua, a galera falou, ah não, foi um avião que bateu. Mas um avião bateu ali. Aí comecei a acompanhar pelas vitrines das lojas. A galera já estava tudo desesperada, fechando as coisas. E na hora não tinha caído muita ficha da gravidade do negócio. Tanto é que eu cheguei a discutir com um cara na loja. Falei, não, eu preciso comprar uma câmera, eu vou viajar hoje, não sei o quê. E o cara não queria vender a câmera pra mim de jeito nenhum. Ele falou, meu, você tá louco, você não vai sair daqui de Nova York tão cedo, ele falava pra mim. Eu, como assim? Eu preciso viajar hoje, eu tenho um campeonato semana que vem. E o cara, você tá louco, eu não vou te vender nada, some daqui, moleque.
Tava voando num voo da American Airlines, Londres, Nova York. Na verdade, eu acho que a gente foi uma das últimas pessoas no mundo a ficar sabendo, por causa que como todas as aeronaves da American Airlines e United Airlines estavam com suspeita de terrorista dentro, a gente ficou no chão, queimando combustível durante 15 horas de voo. E o piloto, e todo mundo fala que era tempo fechado, que no tempo, e a gente não sabia de nada, e aí foi quando, depois de muito tempo, a gente ficou sabendo que o piloto já estava chorando dentro da cabine, não se aguentava mais segurar a notícia, e foi quando ele falou a notícia, olha, eu tenho para falar o que está acontecendo, a gente não pode ir para Nova York por causa do ataque das torres. Aí foi que eu, caralho, foi a hora que eu falei assim, eu tenho que ligar para minha mãe, tenho que ligar para não sei o quê, Mas isso aí foi 15 horas depois, a gente ficou no chão, dentro do avião, queimando combustível, com ar-condicionado ligado, 15 horas.
I just came outside and I was having a cigarette when the first plane hit. And then I went back into the building because my vehicle was in there. And then when I couldn't get to where I was going, I came back out again. And I hooked up with one of the fire chiefs and I showed him my ID that I'm a fireman. And then I stayed here for another 4.5 months. I was on the pile.
Cheguei aí perto das torres logo depois que elas caíram e vi a galera saindo de lá toda empoeirada, daquele jeito que a gente viu na televisão. Cheguei a ver bastante coisa feia.
You look out there, you would have seen the smoke from the 9/11 incident that took place, the tragedy that took thousands of lives.
You know, it's so hard to put into words, but I think shock. Seeing 343 of your brothers going into a building and nobody coming out after the buildings collapse. It's very hard and very emotional to put into words. You know, with me, it was like being back in Vietnam. I thought I saw everything over there. But the carnage that was here was, as far as I'm concerned, it was worse than Vietnam.
We had 25,000 people saved from this tragedy because the fire departments, the first responders were running into a building where everybody was running out, and they rescued 25,000 people. We can never, never forget those people who gave their lives in helping others to try to survive. It's a day to remember and appreciate what God has given us and try to have some more love in this world and caring rather than terrorism and war. War solves no problems.
I mean, the record shows that on, I think it was August 6th, 2001, President Bush, while on vacation in Crawford, was given the security report that said, I think the headline was something, Bin Laden to attack America.
And there's a lot of dark, gray areas that we can't even explain about why we react to the world the way we do, why we react to our government the way we do, why the government reacts to us the way we do.
Terror is not an answer to anything except devastation of people.
My phone just kept ringing, to the point where I get up and I answer and I was like, what?
I remember some pal on the lineup saying, hey, something just happened at the World Trade Center.
I got a phone call from my brother, said wake up and look at the news.
Eu lembro como se fosse ontem. Foi uma coisa muito louca.
Tava lá aparecendo os aviões chegando, puf, puf, foi sinistro.
I didn't believe it. It was like a movie.
Surreal, man. It's sad, very sad.
I mean, the record shows that on, I think it was August 6th, 2001, President Bush, while on vacation in Crawford, was given the security report that said, I think the headline was something, Bin Laden to attack America, and determined that, and that he was going to possibly use airplanes. And then he continued on his vacation for the rest of the month and had the sort of disengaged outlook that he seemed to have throughout his presidency. So I think you can definitely claim negligence.
As the attack took place, Mr. Bush was on his way to an elementary school in Florida. When informed of the first plane hitting the World Trade Center, where terrorists had struck just 8 years prior, Mr. Bush decided to go ahead with his photo opportunity.
A reação primeira, depois do 11 de setembro, depois dos atentados, foi voltar os olhos para o Afeganistão, porque o que seria o mentor dos atentados, que era Osama Bin Laden, estaria escondido no Afeganistão. Então, a reação imediata foi guerra contra o Afeganistão. Os afegãos, eles não têm realmente ideia do que foi o 11 de setembro. Alguns sabem o que foi porque ouviram alguma coisa, uma imagem aqui e ali, mas se 85% do país não tem nem energia elétrica, você imagina que isso é uma minoria. Ouviram falar, tal, mas não tem a dimensão do acontecimento, né? E não ligam muito o 11 de setembro à guerra. A maioria acha que os Estados Unidos entrou lá para ajudá-los, para libertá-los do Talibã. Porque, ao contrário do que se dizia antes, né, os afegãos não são apoiadores do Talibã, eles odeiam os talibãs.
You got to investigate 9/11 because there's never one side of a story, ever, in anything. I don't care if it's a squabble at home with your sister, or it's a massive geopolitical event such as 9/11. The tune out of 9/11 is not to be familiar with the other set of data.
When we receive any type of experience, whether it be a traumatic experience, say there was somebody standing there watching as those buildings came down in 9/11, that's an experience that entered everybody's perception in a different way. Some people were thinking, oh, my family's in there. Some people were thinking, thank God my family's not in there. Some were thinking, I have to run. Some were thinking, I have to get in there and help other people out. So everybody was digesting information, everything that they were seeing, they were digesting it in different ways. And when you digest all that information in different ways, it'll come out as a different expression. So the media just has to take it and say, you know what, this is how you should feel. You should be mourning the 3,000 people, you know, because this is what most people want. They want to see that there was an atrocity. They want to see that because they want to understand that all of this rage that they're feeling inside is also going on in the outside world. So it gives them a reason and permission to feel those feelings.
You say, you know what, this event, given that it's on this day, the best part about it, it's about unity and it's about taking the day back. I don't want to live years from now, every time 9/11 comes up, I have to hear about this shit every single year because it's not important. I mean, I feel for families, obviously. You should feel the death of anyone that dies of anything, from a car accident. You don't hear people having days of the 90 9/11s that occur every year because of car accidents, which easily we could redesign infrastructure for that. You don't hear about the cancer cures that are actually in operation that are suppressed by the establishment, and all the people that die of cancer every year having their own day. They might have marches and things like that, but you know, nothing like this.
9/11 was absolutely a tragedy, but what the media did with 9/11 is a completely different story. The media put it and digested it into, you know, a nice little box that everybody could understand. Within this box, this is 9/11. That's not 9/11. That's the media's digested story of it.
So it's just about comparing facts, comparing data, and to not involve yourself in the debate is to only tune into that one stream of information. Today you can go and watch the BBC, you can go turn on National Geographic and watch a number of different documentaries that attempt to tell a different view of 9/11. And their different view of 9/11 is to acknowledge us as conspiracy theorists, to debunk our claims. And as of yet, they haven't done anything but to create straw men.
This is a political tool. It's an emotional exploitation of a vengeance-based culture that seeks retribution, that's reinforced in the culture, and it's unfortunate that all it does is continue the same cycle. If this is all the best we can do as the American culture is get together, this is how we create unity, as to try to find enemies somewhere else and use this day as our imperialist tool to do anything we want, that's a rogue sickness.
There's a lot of unanswered questions, and I believe that really gets to the heart of the fact that there's a lot of unanswered questions within us, and there's a lot of dark, gray areas that we can't even explain about why we react to the world the way we do, why we react to our government the way we do, why the government reacts to us the way we do.
You need that sense of skepticism to think in the back of your mind, well, what's this guy's motive? Or why is this guy doing this? To really acknowledge that liars exist, that people who are trained politicians, who are trained journalists, stare at the TV screen, stare right into your two eyeballs, and lie to you.
Toda a guerra que foi travada em território afegão, pelo menos as guerras recentes, não tinham relação com os afegãos. Eles sempre foram invadidos por estrangeiros que brigavam no seu solo por interesses que não tinham a ver com o interesse do Afeganistão. Foi assim no 11 de setembro. Você nunca deve ter ouvido falar de terroristas afegãos, porque não existem.
You know, when you have a power everywhere in the world, you use the power. If you have a power, even you are lying, but nobody tells you you are lying. If you don't have a power, even you are true, somebody say, oh no, you don't say the truth, you are lying.
At the end of the day, I don't really care what happened in 9/11. It's not important to me because there's so many much more important problems or larger problems at hand when it comes to what society needs to do to make itself safe, to make itself sane, to establish good public health, to establish infrastructure that can work, massive energy problems.
You know, we have drug epidemics all over this world too. Another, alcohol and drugs take more lives than what is happening in wars, which is unbelievable. Well, you know, the thing that really bothers me is the amount of money that's involved. We have people that don't have food. We have people all over this world that are starving. And I just don't understand that it's not about money, it's about competition, respect, and dignity, and working hard. It's all about values.
It was very short and succinct. 3,000 people died in a very short amount of time, whereas the 100,000 people afterwards, due to the wars that died, it wasn't as televised, it wasn't short, succinct, it wasn't a soundbite. So it doesn't make as much sense to us. As you know, movies, you want the quickest line possible to make the quickest point possible, otherwise we lose our attention.
War solves no problems, and I think that from our very youngest in schools have to be taught values about how precious life is and how, if we work together, we'll have a more beautiful life than the way things seem to be going in this world today. Terror is not an answer to anything except devastation of people.
Since 9/11, American people have started to think more like other countries that live under the threat of terrorism, such as Israel. And they're putting all of their finances and all of their effort into building up this war on terror. So, since 9/11, we began to participate in the largest war that would far surpass World War I, World War II, what some people are calling the hidden World War III, which is the war on terror, which is unending.
That event, not only in and of itself, was so affecting and so tragic, it had multiple tragedies take place as a result of it, because those who died on that day, their names were used in vain to start not one war, but two wars, and ruin us and our reputation around the world.
Terror is bigger than one person, and he's a person who's now been marginalized. So I don't know where he is. Nor do, I just don't spend that much time on him, Kelly, to be honest with you.
Didn't spend much time on him? What kind of president was he?
I'm a war president. I make decisions here in the Oval Office in foreign policy matters with war on my mind.
It's very easy for me, if I look at or anyone, I hope, to look back in history to see what's been done in the name of war and patriotism or even religion, and have someone think back and say, you know what, I think we're going to have to kill a couple thousand people to make sure we protect our interests in the future. This is the way people think. This is the way terrorists think, in a very abstract way.
I don't know what happened. Anybody did wrong. I think anybody have to kill the people. I don't like him, whatever, who's the Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever they have. I don't like it.
Todos os eventos do circuito, a gente tem dentro do plano de segurança do evento uma seção antiterrorista.
We do risk assessments on every event, every location. We deal a lot with the government.
Agora demora mais para a gente passar na segurança. O pessoal revista a prancha, revista a mala, revista tudo.
Seems like a lot more security and a lot more fear, but you know, it's just just shows you that what people can think of, they can do, and it's terrible sometimes.
Investigate 9/11 because there's never one side of a story, ever.
9/11 was absolutely a tragedy, but what the media did with 9/11 is a completely different story.
Você nunca deve ter ouvido falar de terroristas afegãos, porque não existem.
If you have a power, even you are lying, but nobody telling me you are lying. If you don't have a power, even you are true, somebody say, oh no, you don't the truth, you are lying.
Terrorists want to harm large groups of people as much as they want to get a lot of attention. And the best way to get a lot of attention is by harming large groups of people. It's like a child. If a child is not getting the attention they want through love and through compassion, they have a large risk of doing something wrong to get attention. In sporting events and things like that, that's an easy target because that's the best way to get the largest amount of attention all at once.
A ameaça do terrorismo, que até então não era tão viva no dia a dia das pessoas, hoje, ainda hoje, ela é, né? Quem acompanha o Tour se recorda, a gente teve que cancelar a perna europeia e a gente acabou tendo só 5 provas, realizamos somente 5 provas no circuito, que foi o ano que o CJ Rob Good sagrou-se campeão mundial na prova de Sunset, que foi a última prova da temporada, né?
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes what it's like for CJ, that's the year he won the title. You know, there's always that little mark, that little asterisk that says, you know, that was the year that the world changed.
There's certain things in your life that you do that you just can't control, and like there's certain things that like people know you for, and yeah, for me it was just that's just what happened.
What's changed in America in the last 10 years?
Well, the surfing scene is just evolving.
And the surfing, I mean, look at, we're here in New York. The prize money is $1 million. It's surfing's definitely gotten a lot bigger. It's so worldwide with the way the web is run so good nowadays. You know, the internet, you can just watch the surf events live from wherever we're at in the world.
You can watch the webcast and then talk to people and just, yeah, man, it's fun stuff. You know, I think it makes it more personal.
Todos os eventos do circuito a gente tem dentro do plano de segurança do evento uma seção antiterrorista.
We do a lot of pre-planning prior to the events now, and in that pre-planning we take in every situation, and terrorism obviously comes into every event that we look at. We do risk assessments on every event, every location. We deal a lot with the government.
We do work with an independent advisory company that will assess if there is a risk, and then will give us a report on obviously, you know, if there is a threat or if there is a high risk.
Foi depois dos atentados que os Estados Unidos entraram nessa grande guerra global contra o terrorismo. Antes não se falava quase disso, eram ações isoladas. Hoje em dia todo mundo foi afetado por isso, né? Quando você vai viajar no aeroporto, você tem que tirar sapato, é tudo por causa do 11 de setembro. Então criou esse temor também generalizado sobre ataques terroristas, etc.
Agora demora mais para a gente passar na segurança, o pessoal revista a prancha, revista a mala, revista tudo, então tem umas situações até que são meio constrangedoras, tu vê senhores e senhoras sendo revistado pelos oficiais do aeroporto.
Várias coisas que eles não deixavam a gente fazer no aeroporto que a gente estava acostumado a fazer, que era, de repente, levar o skate na mão no avião, que hoje já pode novamente, mas na época eles proibiram tudo, até computador eles queriam proibir de a gente levar dentro do avião. Foi uma loucura.
Principalmente a gente que viaja com prancha, aquele trambolho grandão assim, então sempre a polícia sempre fica com o pé atrás assim, quer abrir, quer revistar, passar no raio-x. Enfim, mas tem que ter essa certa segurança, né, para que não aconteça nada do jeito de novo.
I think your mind, you're always a little bit kind of scared, and that's subsided now. You know, I'm comfortable anywhere I go, and you know, you just got to trust in the fact that the security's doing their job and they're checking all the people getting on the planes.
Well, September 11th changed a lot of things. I mean, it definitely changed our sense of safety in the U.S. and our sense of relationships with other countries, and made everything different, you know.
But that's just the world we live in now. I think that goes across the board with everybody. So, but you get used to it. Like, I think everyone's used to traveling with the security. We know it really doesn't protect us that much. It's just a bunch of more hoops that we have to jump through.
Seems like a lot more security and a lot more fear, but you know, it just shows you that what people can think of, they can do, and it's terrible sometimes.
Yeah, the world's crazy, you know.
It's always funny for me because, you know, my full name is Salema Mabena Masekela. So whenever I come back into the country and you come back from Indonesia, the custom guys are looking at you very, okay, so what's this name from? What does it mean? What's your background?
Teve alguns casos do Raoni com o Girá por nomes, né? Assim, o Girá teve o nome dele, Girá de Có, então ele já teve muitos problemas na imigração. E Raoni e Yuri também já passaram na mesma situação também. Nada, meu nome é de índio, meu nome é do cacique Raoni lá do Brasil, lá do Xingu.
Eu tava com visto de turista, mas já tinha entrado outras vezes. Eles alegaram que, pô, não, você tá indo competir, você precisa do trabalho. Aí eu falei, pô, mas eu já vim competir várias vezes, vocês me liberaram, aquela coisa. Aí eu acho que o nome influenciou um pouco, assim, né? Os caras foram lá, estouraram as Torres Gêmeas, eu com esse nome, vou sofrer um pouco mais, né?
Since 9/11, you know, the United States has come back in a way where, yes, it was a terrible thing, but, you know, everybody remembers that we got to move on and, you know, be positive. At the same time, no one's ever going to forget, especially in New York City.
I feel like we've become afraid of our own shadows. You know, people sort of have learned to live in fear, and I hope that maybe now that there's been a 10-year cycle and, you know, politically and socially the country has gotten to a place where it's sort of fragile right now. In some ways, people have just decided to go into their own corners, in their own groups, instead of embracing what America has always been about, which is, it's a melting pot. You know, this is a place where people can come from all over the world and be who they want to be.
It makes you realize that you need to appreciate every day that you have. It's a blessing to be able to come down and have a surf.
Acho que se a gente começar a raciocinar agora, futuramente vai ser melhor, a gente vai poder salvar o mundo. Acho que nós mesmos, já que a gente está destruindo, a gente tem que pensar em salvar.
This is a time that the world should really focus and understand that terrorism is terror against all people. It's no way to solve problems.
Hopefully, you know, I'm an optimist that one day we can get past that.
Life is good, so just got to remember that. No matter how much better I think it can be, it's still good.
You can't take me as I am, but you can walk away. 'Cause you are my harbor, I guess we'll never get bored.
It's a great time that the surfing is able to be here because there's so many other things going on around New York.
You know, we got the U.S. Open of tennis going on. This weekend we also have the NFL this week.
Tony Hawk, who's an icon of skateboarding, roll through New York City.
It also doesn't hurt that Fashion Week starts on Thursday and all the most beautiful girls in the world are in town.
It was just an awesome environment.
I think it's a great way to remember in a positive way all those people that, you know, passed away.
Since 9/11, you know, the United States has come back in a way where, yes, it was a terrible thing, but, you know, everybody remembers that we got to move on and, you know, be positive. At the same time, no one's ever going to forget, especially in New York City.
I feel like we've become afraid of our own shadows.
It makes you realize that you need to appreciate every day that you have. It's a blessing to be able to come down and have a surf.
I walked for 6 hours one day just looking around the city, and I've seen nothing like this before. And one of the biggest things, I went up the top of Empire State Building and looked down, and I was thinking Central Park was just some small park, but it's like Central Forest. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen.
It's a great time that the surfing is able to be here because there's so many other things going on around New York that are big. The biggest sporting events in America.
You know, we got the U.S. Open of tennis going on. This weekend we also have the NFL this week.
Tony Hawk, who's an icon of skateboarding, roll through New York City.
It also doesn't hurt that Fashion Week starts on Thursday and all the most beautiful girls in the world are in town.
It was just an awesome environment.
It's pretty amazing because it's something you're not seeing every day.
It's going to be a big week here in New York and a lot of fun.
I think it's a great way to remember in a positive way all those people that, you know, passed away.
I think it's just a celebration of how far we've come and especially to show how far our sports have come and to you know, do something free and fun for the people here.
Depois de 10 anos a gente está num evento legal aqui na frente do Rio Hudson. Acho que não é uma comemoração, mas pode ser uma coisa legal para a cidade, para estar atraindo o povo aqui. Em vez de lembrar das coisas ruins que eles passaram, vem aqui dar risada, se diverte.
To go back to New York 10 years later when we did, you can tell that they've really grown from it, and that now, you know, they're not celebrating, but they are definitely in a different frame of mind that, you know, we can overcome this type of thing.
After 9/11, things were locked down. You know, you really couldn't skate below 14th Street. It was a very, you know, terrible situation. All the streets were closed. There was a lot of police. So really, where it was the best to skate in New York City, you couldn't skate. But if anything good came out of it, it was that people started exploring other places above 14th Street, Midtown, back to the outer boroughs. You know, you got Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island. So there's a lot to skate in New York.
I think people in New York really like the surf culture. Even if they don't surf themselves, they like watching it. They're really supportive.
We're here to try to share our culture and present what we do on a stage in a big city.
The people here are so mellow. They've been absolutely lovely. bending over backwards to make us feel welcome. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
É muito legal chegar pela primeira vez num local, numa cidade que nunca teve o circuito, porque o valor que as pessoas locais dão pelo tour, pelo evento, é muito maior do que, por exemplo, numa cidade que a gente já vem realizando o campeonato há muito tempo.
If this event in some way can help to be a distraction from some of those darker memories, and a way for everyone to sit together and really enjoy and celebrate life and really be proud of the freedoms that we have, then, you know, in some special way, you know, surfing again helps to bring everybody together in a time of need.
It's a beautiful side of the country. It's much different from the West Coast. And people are different, the landscape is different, and I think the East Coast needed a surf contest.
In America, the East Coast, they're like the stepbrother that lives in the back of the house that nobody talks about. And now we have this Hurricane Katia coming, and there's going to be like a possibility of like world-class barrels.
Se a gente tem a informação dos surfistas locais, é que esse é o melhor swell que eles tiveram desde o 11 de setembro, há 10 anos atrás. Naquela semana, portanto, eles também tiveram um swell maravilhoso proporcionado por um furacão e fazia 10 anos que eles não tinham uma condição tão boa aqui em Long Beach.
My first input was they weren't exactly sure where they were going to surf. And I said, well, maybe we can make it mobile and actually be able to go like Outer Banks if it's pumping, or go out to Montauk if it's good, or, you know, maybe like Sandy Hook up in Jersey or whatever. But you know, they kind of wanted to just make it one centrally located thing and make it more about the experience and getting the city involved and stuff.
They're going to make history. This is the biggest event ever on the Eastern Seaboard for professional surfing. It happens to be the richest prize purse ever, $1 million. $300,000 for first prize.
You know, there's been a lot of exciting surfing. There's been some great heats and great moves pulled. And I mean, if you did a highlights package of the moves here, it'd be one of the best contests on tour this year.
Hey, oh, let's go, shoot 'em in the back now. What they want, I don't know. They're all wrapped up and ready to go. They're foaming in a straight line. They're going through a tight one. The kids are losing their minds. The blitzkrieg pop. They're pulling in the backseat. They generate steam heat. Pulsing into the backbeat. The blitzkrieg pop. Hey, ho, let's go.
Huge prize money, Hell Trophy, and just perfect surf. I can't believe we lucked out.
It was a really fun week, and you know, the crowds were amazing. It was a lot of fun.
Travel so far, yeah. I wanna meet you all. I wanna have some fun. You wanna join me now? You wanna join me now? It's a party, don't you know it don't get much better? We're gonna make it such an awesome party, and you should know it don't get much sweeter. So here we go.
And that's what sports is all about. It's, you know, it's parents taking children to participate. It's parents being together with their children. It's children relating with other children. The diversity again of our population, whether you're black, white, or wherever your nationality is or your culture is, you have respect for the performance of the athlete, not of his color or his religion or his background, but as a human being. People, this is what sports is really about. Applauding the successes of those and those who try, and congratulations is to everybody, because they are participating in an activity that is only healthy and is going to make us better people for a better world.